It's going to be an interesting conversation. This is something that Alex and I really agree on as people, that it's very obnoxious to us that everything is like, oh my God, it's demons. When 9 times out of 10, it's just people who don't know what they're dealing with. So they immediately go to something like that. And 9 times out of 10, when you're bringing a priest in to do something, that's really not the right course of action, and nothing good is going to come of that. I'm just saying. There are some ghosts that I've met that made me feel the most negative things, not demons though. Right? I have seen some terrifying ghosts. I have seen ghosts that made my hair stand on end and made me absolutely petrified to be in a space. But it wasn't a demon. And I love, I do enjoy when I tell certain stories about specifically negative encounters that I've had, and people immediately like, oh my God, that's a demon. No. No, it is not. I promise you. I mean, goodness gracious. When I start doing more video about my guides, I say plural, but my one specific guide, it's going to be really interesting to describe what he looks like, because I already know what people are going to think, and I'm very excited about it. Demons have better things to do. They really do. Like, I've talked to some demons at times during doing reads and stuff, and they're usually just like, I'm a little busy. What do you want? You know? Oh my God, Christina, did you have your foot out because it was just too hot? Yes, Rebecca. Rebecca actually dressed up as my guide for Halloween. It was perfect. She looked perfect. She looked absolutely gorgeous like she always does. It was so good. I was so excited. If I recall correctly, he was flattered but also agitated. Rebecca and I have got that kind of relationship. We're real close though. I was about to walk up to the bed when it happened. Oh, goodness gracious. He was like, I'm flattered, but like, don't. He's so business. There she is.
How are you?
Has arrived. Life is good now. I'm fine. Everything is happy.
Good.
I was giving them the prep of what we were going to be talking about. And
Awesome.
So I would like to take a second to say, hi, bestie. I've missed you so much. We haven't done this in, what, months?
Right? It's been a long time, like a long time.
I'm a busy lady with many important things to do. That's the problem. So I would love for you to talk about who you are to my people, and then I am happy to do the same for your people as well.
Perfect. Yeah, so my name is Alex, also known as the Spooky Stuff, I think, as most people know. Maybe, if you don't, now you know. So I am a paranormal investigator and researcher. When I'm not working the day job, I live and breathe paranormal. I'm the founder and director of the Association of Paranormal Study, and specializing in residential cases, and yeah, doing lots of research. I write books. I write books on the paranormal and paranormal topics. Wrapping up a book right now. Hopefully it'll come out next month. And yeah, done the TV thing a couple times, which is always exciting. Yeah, it's always exciting. I'll actually be on 2 shows this year. I think they're coming out this year. So one of them's a brand new show, and the other one's a documentary on Tubi about haunted places around the world. So, Tubi.
Yo, look at her living my dreams. Like, this is why I was telling them that when it comes to paranormal, I may be pretty experienced, but I always refer to you when I need assistance, guidance, or need to get on the right footing over something. I am always bothering you, like, hey, Alex, can I ask you a question?
You never bother me. I love it when people reach out to me asking me questions, and I actually prefer that. I mean, and I'm not like the expert on residential cases or any like phenomena at all. I just, I like to be a resource for people. I am very passionate about residential cases though, because I've been on the other side of that. And I'm very passionate about that because, I want to make sure people are taken care of and they have support through their paranormal phenomenon, and hopefully walk away from working with me feeling more empowered than scared. That's always like my end goal with that. Yeah. So, yeah.
I would say that that's an accurate feeling to have after going on an investigation with you.
Oh, Thank you. I'm glad to
Yeah.
hear that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that is a very accurate thing that you make people feel, and I know the impact of residential cases. I was a residential case at one point, and I've done a few, and it's either like it's validating, giving peace of mind, giving guidance on how to work with it and not against it. It's
Hmm.
so impactful to people to not feel like they're losing their minds.
Hmm.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
there. I was like,
Yeah.
there's been some times, even in my recent life, like with my spirituality opening up more and stuff, where I've sat here, and Rebecca will attest, where I've been like, I'm losing it. Like, this is it. This is the end. Like, this makes no sense to me at all. And that was the validation that really just made me go, oh, thank God.
Thank God. Yeah, that's something I hear a lot from clients is, oh, thank God I'm not losing my mind. And it's like, oh no, there's some spooky stuff going on there. Or if we do run into a situation where we think, yes, there may be some mental health involved, usually we will recommend, or at least I will recommend, like, just to make sure everything's ruled out, maybe let's see a doctor, just see a doctor and feel some things out. Because I've run into that a couple times. But even then you can still help them feel empowered in some sort of way. And I always try to get our clients to have a hand and get involved with their own resolutions instead of us doing, like me or my team members doing the resolution, because usually it doesn't have quite the same to that, doesn't have quite the same ping to that if the client is more involved in their resolution methods.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. It's a hands-on effort. It's
mhm.
even like I with doing readings and things, it's always a hands-on effort with people like, hey, work with me. Let's do this together. Breathe with me. Or I'll
Mhm.
even throw it back at them when we're talking about what senses we're working on. I'm like, read me.
Yep.
Go ahead right now. I want to see what happens. And then it's oh, yes. And Rebecca said I do the same thing with you though, and I was like facts. And then Shrooms asked serious question: is Bigfoot paranormal? No, Bigfoot's real. Fight me.
Oh my gosh, there's so many like rabbit holes with Bigfoot, like Bigfoot being an elemental. Oh my gosh, yeah, I could totally go down the Bigfoot.
That's another conversation we should have
That
about
totally
Bigfoot
is.
another day. So I will do a brief introduction for your side. I know they've probably seen me a couple of times at this point, but I have to go for the full tilt intro that I do.
Yeah.
Well, hello there. My name is Catherine. I'm your friendly neighborhood paranormal investigator and psychic medium, here to bring you the information of demons. Probably not. I have been a paranormal investigator for about 15 years at this point. I make content on the internet, as you see. I do educational things. I like to make fun of like ghostly encounters because everybody do be really extra about it most of the time. And I also give consultative readings on both paranormal investigating as well as mediumship. And I just recently added a new tier to that offering, which is connections with past loved ones. So if that is something that interests you, and I am totally plugging myself, if you want to book, I got some of my people I've done readings for in the chat. They said I did all right, so I guess I can say I did all right.
Nice.
And no, I have not met a demon yet, but I have met demon adjacent items. So, that is what it is. I say we jump right into it. Demons. Demons in the media. Demons as a concept. Demons in the paranormal. Rebecca said, dang, your intro is so on it. And thank you, Christina. I appreciate Catherine's readings are amazing. Thank you. Demon adjacent items. So, demons. They're everywhere. I was saying earlier I could throw a rock and hit a demon every single day because they're just so pervasive out there in the world. Right?
Right. Totally.
Totally. Every day I wake up, every morning I wake up, I see a demon right there, and then I'm just like, how are you? Like, that's every day of my life.
Oh my gosh, Chris says most of the demons I battle are internal. Wah, 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 wah.
Most of mine are from paralysis, so there we go. Have you ever
Yeah.
seen spirit in body form? Yeah, if you're talking about full-bodied apparitions, I have.
Mm-hmm.
Many times. Arnold. Every morning, Arnold standing there, and I'm like, demon, because ghosts are demons, but whatever.
Totally.
So, I think we should start with, where does this idea come from that everything paranormal is a demon?
So some people like to blame a certain show that rhymes with Roast Cadavengers. Um,
That was so out of pocket. Ghost of Bears. I love that. Anyway.
but I think it actually goes back to earlier than that. I know those of you who may be watching right now on my side, maybe even on Catherine's side, who may know who I used to work for, but and I'm not going to disclose connections. I used to work for a paranormal TV person way back in the day. I mean, we're looking on 10, 11, 12 years now, so it's been a while. But I think one of the earliest shows that really kind of pushed this demon narrative, not aggressively, but I think it planted the seed, was Paranormal State. Because, there was a whole narrative of a demon following, the star. And plus, they had Lorraine Warren on the show. And I've been really diving into Lorraine Warren's career because of my book. I'm writing a book on influential women in the paranormal. So I've done a really big deep dive into Lorraine's career and Lorraine Warren. But Lorraine Warren was on that show too. And granted, that was also one of the most diverse shows on TV for early 2000s. That was really diverse. But even so, I think that may have planted the seed because Ghost Hunters did not start off that way. Ghost Hunters started off with, let's investigate, debunk, that they did a lot of debunking in the first couple seasons, like a fair share of it. But then it just kind of turned into, I think when the network saw the success with Paranormal State, and there was the I Am 6 episode with the girl who was possessed supposedly by 6 demons. So I think that had Slothy, yes, that was with the Pennsylvania college students. Katrina Weidman was on that show, who is fabulous. I adore Katrina. So there was a lot there, in terms, I mean, it was a very popular show. I mean, I watched it. But yeah, I think that may have been what planted the seed. So I don't blame Ghost Adventures really for starting it. I do blame them for continuing it and making it more dramatic and creating this formula, so to speak. I mean, because what we're seeing now is a formula. We see it on TikTok and we see it on YouTube, and we're seeing it on the streaming platforms like Discovery Plus and Travel Channel. So I think this formula got created by Ghost Adventures, but they didn't start it, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. I would definitely say that a lot of the early prominent investigators, and I'm talking like from, the 60s into the 70s, like the Warrens, and then the people that they worked around with, which there are a couple, and please forgive me, I don't remember people's names that well, but I do know there was quite a few prominent figures, some more leaning towards parapsychology, some more in the investigative sense. I would like to clarify that by the technical standards, Ed and Lorraine Warren, I wouldn't even really constitute them as investigators per se. I would say that they were demonologists that saw it everywhere, and they did do recordings, and but not necessarily in the way that we do them now. It was a very early way that we used to process things, and if you listen to some of their old tapes, which I have, it doesn't sound like demons to me. It sounds like people in distress. And they got in so much hot water because of those movies, and just the people that lived through it have spoken out against it, like, this isn't what happened, this is not what this was, what are they talking about? And then, the Bible does teach that everybody goes to heaven, and if they don't go to heaven and they say that they're still here around you, they're clearly a demon.
A demon. Yep.
I don't understand why so many demons. Now, mind you, I could not give a guesstimation of the census of ghosts on the earth. I could ask, but I don't think I'll get a number that's within the range of thought that I could conceptualize. Why would there be, if there is a hell for them to live in, why would they all be congregating here all the time? And just being like, yes, my name is Macy. I died in 1871. I had the consumption, and this is my life. I want to possess you. That makes no sense at all, to me anyway. They're not everywhere. It's not something that It's not even something that I think of when I'm out. That's never even my first thought. That takes, and even still, if somebody comes into your home and you're doing a case there, and the first thing out of their mouth is oh my God, you have a demon, tell them to leave. Because they're not putting in the proper work to really figure out what it is that's going on in your home. People get sued for that.
People have gotten sued for that. There was a case, I want to say it was 2011. I wish I could remember the name of it. It was a more recent one. It wasn't Ackley versus whoever was the verses on that. But thank you, Chris, for the 666 likes. I appreciate it. Oh yeah, you really did. Dang, dude. Okay. I'm looking at my likes. I'm like, holy cow. But yeah, so that's, and the thing we also have to remember too is Ed and Lorraine were Roman Catholic. So that has a lot to do with it. I mean, I was raised Baptist. I mean, Baptist, we had our own whole realm of like demons, and we don't have ghosts, it's only demons. Oh man, Ed and Lorraine. Yeah, so Ed and Lorraine, when this is all very fresh with me because of the book.
I be having this live stream then.
Yeah, I know, right? It's perfect timing. Yeah, I got off the phone with John Zaffis yesterday because I was talking to him about Ed and Lorraine's career. Well, mainly Lorraine, because the story is centric around Lorraine, and it was really interesting to hear. It's a side of. And not to, and I have to be careful with what I say because I still have to get the chapter approved by certain people. So I'm going to be very careful with my words. But there's a side to Ed and Lorraine that I wish they would reveal to the world. It's not a bad thing. It's more of like the humanizing thing. Where maybe they weren't so sure, they weren't so confident. Going back to the roots of wanting to help people without the whole drive for fame. And because at the time that they got famous, so to speak, I mean, it was the 70s. So who else was really prominent during that time in terms of like paranormal stuff? It was Hans Holzer.
That was it. So I couldn't think of Hans Holzer. That was it.
Yo, I have so many of these names in my head now, like from this book. It's been really interesting, and also seeing where everyone's connected and how they all relate to each other. It's been like really crazy of like, oh, so this person worked with that person, and then that person debunked this person, and then this person called out this one in the newspaper. Like, it's just like, it's just been like, I could make like a whole web, like connecting it with yarn, like using push pins, like with how everyone's connected. And
talking about Amityville.
Yeah, Amityville. Yeah, exactly. There's Amityville, technically Enfield, but the Warrens weren't at Enfield.
They weren't house.
They were there, but they weren't there as long as, and this is out. This information's out. They were there, but not in the full capacity that the movie claims. And also Roger Perrin punched Ed.
Good.
So,
good.
Because there was a situation with Carolyn Perrin being possessed or influenced by some sort of spirit. Ed was kind of not egging the spirit on, but in Roger's eyes, egging on the ruse. And basically Roger, socked Ed and kicked them out. Artemis Sphere, no, it would be Enfield Poltergeist in England. So definitely not Connecticut.
That was sorry if I remember. Sorry, my kid made a noise that concerned me. I wanted to make sure he wasn't like.
Go check on the weird sounds.
Oh, he's fine. He's like, he was there. He had his toy in front of me. He was like, oh, and I was like, all right, you're good. Wasn't the Enfield haunting debunked?
So I have some mixed feelings about the Enfield poltergeist. Yes and no. So I think there was activity happening because there were verifiable accounts from law enforcement. I mean, even seeing like UFOs above the house. There was so much more to the Enfield poltergeist, the Enfield case, that was just bonkers. And I wish at least the Conjuring movie had touched on that, because yeah, there were UFO sightings over the house for the Enfield poltergeist. Like there were so many, like it kind of reminded me of Point Pleasant a little bit. Strange people being sighted, the UFOs, including the haunting. I think some of it was real, but then I think once the girls realized how much attention they were getting, they started to fake some of it. But I think because this was also investigated by the Society for Psychical Research, primarily Guyline Playfair and Maurice Grosse. And they were the main investigators on that case. And what I didn't like about the Conjuring movie was it kind of made them seem like bumbling idiots. They were not. They absolutely were not. And the story behind that is basically Ed and Lorraine traveled to England because the Enfield poltergeist happened in England. They traveled to England. This is the story. I think this is Guyline Playfair's recount. So, but apparently Ed approached them saying, hey, we can make a lot of money from this case. And they were like, dude, get out. So they didn't even really step foot into the case at all. And of course, one could say, well, that was Guyline Playfair's perspective. And, there could be a bias there. If you all want to read more about the Enfield poltergeist, Guyline Playfair wrote a book called This House is Haunted. Really good book with a lot of good details about that case. Yeah, like I said, book writing, this is all really fresh in my head. But yeah, so, the way that Ed and Lorraine Warren worked, it was almost like they had melded like the way Hans Holzer approached cases wasn't original to him either. I mean, this goes back to like even before Harry Price and Peter Underwood. This goes back to like Catherine Crowe and a French woman who has a long name that I cannot say, Antoinette de la Guerre something. It's a long name. So investigation tactics date back to the 19th century. And so where Hans Holzer was coming in with what he was doing, he was drawing from that. And then it's almost like Ed and Lorraine Warren took that process, but then added demons to it, or at least added a heavy religious bias to it. I think that's probably a better way to word it, a strong religious bias, where then it turned into, this is where it gets muddy with them, that they were working with the Catholic Church, but then the Catholic Church was like, oh, no, we're not working with them, which happened a lot. And then technically demonologists are people who work with demons, not necessarily get rid of demons. So, but they took that word and they molded it into something different. And if you ever meet a true demonologist, I mean, they'll tell you how to work with demons. They'll tell you how to summon demons. And also daemons, not quite, oogie boogie scary, that they're made out to be. So, that brought in like that really heavy Christian bias, which what was happening in the 70s, what book and movie came out in the 70s that scared the crap out of everybody?
The Exorcist.
Bingo. So I think The Exorcist, I don't want to blame The Exorcist completely, but I feel like people capitalized on it. It was capitalized on.
Movie set was haunted. People were cursed after they were on that movie. Satanic Panic.
Satanic Panic, yes.
Satanic Panic. I'm always living to panic because it's satanic. Like, I can't walk down the street without people looking at me like, ugh. Mm-hmm. It's great. I love that. People assume I'm a Satanist too. Like, they assume because I'm, look a certain way. They're like, oh, Satanist. No, I was like, actually, no, not a Satanist. However, my guide is definitely, you were talking about demons and daemons, and you can work with them. My guide is a daemon. He's really cool. He's very business. He's not coming up in me like, I'm going to possess you and you're going to do what I say. No, he's like, did you do what I tell you to do? No. Why? Can you just, They're great to work with. They're pretty sassy. Like, they're actually not that bad. And honestly, when it comes to readings, I'm going to tell you right now, full stop. I would rather talk to a demon or a daemon than an angel. Because they've got some attitude. I don't much care for it very much. Nor very rude to me. But anyway, I went to Christian school for 9 years. I started in kindergarten all the way up to 8th grade. And, you know, this is something, God, the understanding of me as somebody who lived in a haunted location was that God wouldn't allow ghosts to exist. Mm-hmm. Because you either go up or down. And I, being that kid in Christian school, who was always asking all of the questions, was like, well, what if somebody is scared and doesn't know where to go or what to do? Well, God guides them. He does that for everybody. Mm-hmm. So he does that for everybody. Okay. But what if they don't want to go to either? What if they're just kind of in the, oh, well then, you know, in some religious sects, then it's purgatory. Well, what is purgatory? This is purgatory. Coming back here to me, this is purgatory. This is where you kind of just hang out. And that's in your religious idea. Everybody has a different idea of religion and how it works. And there are lots of different pantheons out there. And everyone is valid. It's just what you take from it and how you interpret it. In my, like, the way that I've experienced it anyway. Yeah. One of the things, I had a thought that was poignant and then I forgot what it was. Oh, something that I've been asked in the past. If it's not a demon, why did it react negatively to talking about scripture and Jesus? Okay, you died in the late 17, early 18, mid 1800s, and you are a ghost, and you don't know why you're a ghost. Mm-hmm. And then somebody comes up in your space and is like, I'm gonna damn you to hell. When it was expected, almost required, to attend church every Sunday. God was supposed to be an intricate part of your daily life. That was not a question. That was a demand of society at the time. You don't think you'd be scared because you don't understand why you are where you are? That you wouldn't react in a scared or negative way to somebody quoting scripture, when I would assume, and I've had this experience before, so I speak from experience out in the field, you feel like God abandoned you?
Mm-hmm. Funny story. So once upon a time, I was trying to become a demonologist. Once upon a time, I was taking courses and I finished the courses and I actually did some field work, actually in DC of all places. And it's funny that I ended up back here. It was interesting because the person that I was working with was very logically minded. He wasn't necessarily Christian, but he would basically, he specialized in working with demons and removing demons based on your own religious beliefs, because this guy was an encyclopedia. And so I would get called in on occasion because, you know, I took some psychology in college and, you know, that sort of thing. So I had a little bit of background. I'm not a mental health professional, but I can at least observe and be like, and there was one case where I really was not. It's amazing. You can tell when people are faking possession because they will go off of the tropes that they see on TV and in movies and in books. And it's especially gotten worse since The Conjuring came out because, you know, it was a very successful horror movie. And so I was observing. So I was observing my demonologist friend, working with this guy, and to the point where I thought, how would this person react if I delivered with the conviction of speaking scripture, but it wasn't scripture? So I actually started quoting out of Hamlet and Macbeth at this guy, and he was responding like it was scripture. And I'm like, and I was like, well, you mean, if you got a demon, apparently they failed English class or 7th grade English because, you know, that was Hamlet.
Wow. I could hear this story from in there and I was like, stop. Oh my God.
Because I am a jerk. But it goes down to like that conviction.
But in the best way.
Well, I had a hunch that this person was pulling our legs, but so, you know, grad school, I got my degree in theater, and I got my MA in theater, and I specialize in Shakespeare. So, I mean, I had a lot of Shakespeare and a lot of Shakespeare in this head.
Everybody
So
is
I was
laughing and
like,
saying round of applause. You have left them flabbergasted. They
I
cannot
was holding a
believe you.
Bible while I was doing it too, so it looked like I was reading out of the Bible, but it was like literally like, "Alas, poor Yorick, how I once knew thee." So
I mean, like you could start just holding a Bible and aggressively quoting lyrics from
you really
songs.
could. You really could. I mean, that's actually a great way to test it because, and besides the holy water test, the holy water test is always a little interesting. It's like, you know, and holy water doesn't have to come from the Catholic Church. I mean, you could bless it yourself. I mean, it's again, it comes down to faith and conviction. But like holy water, it's like spritz spritz.
Oh,
Okay, well that was tap water,
you
so
mean intention?
intention,
Like what
yes.
everybody uses, even in spiritual practice, where intention means everything to what you're doing, and then
Yeah.
they put the intention that holy water is going to protect them and bless them, you know, like the same thing, but it's different because it's godly, so it's not the same to them.
Right? You know, the costumes and the performance, the ritual performance. And I did a whole paper about like the performance of religion. And then I adapted that and welded it into the performance of ghost hunting because ghost hunting can also be a performance. And it's like, who's the audience? Is it the paranormal investigator that's the audience, or is it the spirits that are the audience? Um, I'm not high enough for this for to go into that, but yeah, it's legal where I live. It's okay.
So I want to share something that I think your live might find very interesting, and overall everybody might find interesting. One of the best EVPs that I ever got was in a cemetery, which where else was I? But I was minding my own business, putting my stuff away, trying to have my last bits of conversation, and I caught Latin, straight Latin. I had it confirmed by 2 different linguists. No context. Was like, here, listen to this. Tell me what it is.
Nice.
Can you understand what it is? First linguist was like, dude, who speaks Latin that you know? Second linguist was like, I thought it was Spanish at first, but listening to it again, I realized there's no matching Spanish words, and it sounds more like Latin to me. And I was like, okay, cool, thanks. Yes, I still have that recording. I'll be doing a YouTube video that's coming out this week with that recording in it. And
Nice.
I might drop the video of when it actually happened, because not only did it get caught on the live stream, and I didn't hear it, but it also got caught on a recorder as well. And you could hear where the voice was coming from the distance of one item to the other. It was really cool. But anyway, so after the Latin situation, where everybody was like losing their mind because they were like, "Oh my God, Kat, it's Latin! Oh my God, Kat, it's Latin! Demons!" I was like, no. Calm your beak there, Sophie. If it had been Sanskrit or something older of a language than Latin, something more, I would be looking for something more rudimentary, more gruff, more like aggressive. There are certain languages I look out for when it comes to this kind of thing. Latin is not one of them. Catholics know how to speak Latin. So I took that and was like, no, it's not a demon. Granted, to hear it, terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. You're like, what is that? But I went there and I straight did some research with my friend who is a linguist and was like, we're going to talk Latin to this and we're going to see what happens. I'm going to speak its language, and I'm going to see if it responds to me. It did not. It did not. But you know
They're
what?
probably like, oh shit, they knew what I was saying.
Cemetery? Catholics. Lots of Catholics buried there from like the early 1800s into the 19th century.
Yep.
So no, I'm pretty sure it's not a demon. Pretty sure that somebody wanted to give me the little...
And Latin's not the official language of demons at all. Like, it's just so funny how... And also, like, why would demons speak essentially their own poison? You know what I mean? If we go with, like, the lore of Christian-based demons, like, why would they speak their own poison or their own antidotes, you know? Their own kryptonite. Why would they speak their own kryptonite? You know?
I don't know. That doesn't track. That doesn't make sense. It's very interesting how it's very, you know, people are like, well, what would you consider being demonic language? I was like, honestly, language that doesn't sound human. I would expect that. I would expect something that sounds like language, but I don't understand it, and it sounds not human-esque in any way. Like, no human would design a language. Like, we design language based off of, like, where we live, how we interact with each other, what works best, and it evolves and changes over time. It should be, like, the standard practice language that if a demon's coming in, this is what they're going to speak, and it's going to sound probably terrifying and also not legible to us to understand it.
Right.
There's so many points of con. People like, well, what else would you consider a demonic haunting? And I'm like, well, there's so many different things that could be happening, but personally speaking, and this might just be me, demons don't just hang around for fun. They don't just haunt your home waiting for a moment to grab at you. They're trying to get you, and if you think there's a demon somewhere trying to get you, it's probably already got you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just now making itself known enough that you are aware that something's wrong. But likely, it has pursued you due to a mental health decline, a health decline. In some way, there could have been a time where you, like, put out an intention that you were bringing this kind of thing in, and you opened yourself to it. And you were like, I don't care if you want to come in and take over my body. And it said, bet. Yeah. And once it's getting into that space, it is very difficult to just get rid of it. But it's also not something that you're not just going to have a random demon named Greg hanging around your house, like laughing and moving around and being like, I'm going to growl tonight. I'm going to make it smell like fire. That's not how that works. When they come into a space, and this is from experience with, like, reads and doing psychic work and things like that, they come into a space, they have an agenda. They have something they want to do. I have met demons that are guides. I have met demons that were in a space because they were invited into that space. And if they have intention to do what they're going to do, they're going to do it.
Yep, exactly.
That's what they do.
Exactly. I think, so I will say the stages of possession, while, you know, it is primarily Christian based, I do like how it's broken down to, like, infestation, manifestation. I think infestation is, like, one of the earliest signs, but it's interesting you bring up, like, processes and thought processes and stages of possession. There's a really good, it's Catholic based, but there is a really good book called Hostage to the Devil by Malachi Martin. And this book is, I'm not near my bookshelf, otherwise I would be like, hey. It's on my bookshelf in my office. But it goes over not just like, so it goes through, I think, 3 or 4, maybe more cases of possession. And not only does it go into, like, the story of the exorcist and their backstory and their life story, but it also goes through the possessed. So basically, like, the stages of their life that may have contributed to them becoming possessed. And then it goes into accounts of the exorcism. If we take that as, okay, yes, this really did happen, it's really fascinating to see, like, all the different factors that play into possession. And one thing that I will say is I have yet to see a possession case, whether spirit, demonic, I have yet to see a possession case where consent was not given.
See, now that was something that I wanted to talk about. Rebecca said, good point. Why would you two think a demon would be interested in someone? And I would agree with you. At some point, you consented to this to happen. And they don't just show up for no reason. They don't just pop in and go, that one. They don't do that. They have no interest in it. They don't just walk around the earth trying to find somebody that they can latch onto. Right. At some juncture, in some shape, way, or form, you've consented to them being in your space. And there are times where you might not have realized exactly what it is that you've agreed to, but you still did, and it's still a contractual obligation that you now have. The phases of possession, I'm very aware of it. A lot of the manifestations that people discuss is smelling of fire, sulfur, brimstone, flies. There's the movie tropes of, like, birds attacking your house and breaking their necks, animals getting affected and being frightened of being in a space, hearing growling, dogs, sounds of hell are coming into your house and space. That's when you should be like, oh no, the demons are here. And then it's, I've heard it described as your health declines, your mental health declines, you start to have physical effects, loss of hair, loss of bodily functions, and it's just eating you alive from the inside out. Your spiritual health and your physical health both get affected. And I don't claim to understand how possession works in the sense of when it's discovered, how it's processed, and how it is removed exactly. I have seen there's this new series that's out for like an actual exorcist priest who's talking about, I've seen people float from the floor, I've seen people spin around in circles.
Is it Eli Roth's show?
I don't know, but I've seen this as a thing. It's been on TikTok ads a lot. I will say, the one demonic possession and exorcism thing that I did think made the most sense was The Last Rite, where he said that this isn't something that just happens. You don't just fix it. This has been taking years. This has been something we've worked on regularly. Yeah. This demon has made space in this person's personhood. And we just basically have to treat a disease. There's no getting rid of it until she's strong enough to do it on her own.
Yeah.
And he was more like a supportive system to keep the demon from taking over fully, rather than him just being like, yeet, you know?
Artemis Sphere left a really funny comment. When demons have a better understanding of consent than the Fae. The Fae are completely different.
We're not talking about the Fae today. We are not talking about the Fae today. Nope. They're two different kinds, and both of them can have their own issues, and I don't want to deal with it today.
Yeah.
Yes. Demons do understand consent, because you have to, like vampires, you have to invite them in. You have to invite them in. This is something that I know from experience. Like, when I first met my guide and I was trying to figure out what was going on. Now, he is a demon. There were some parameters that were very interesting to me. Like, when he first came in, I didn't see him. Now, I can see. I didn't see him. I could hear him. But it wasn't until I had help from Rebecca. She helped me to figure this out. Because this was 2021 when I was losing my mind and I didn't know anything. I didn't know any better. It needed to be understood that he was there, and there needed to be an acceptance that he was there for him to fully involve himself into my space. And once I was like, so you're my guide, he still wasn't in my space. He still wasn't fully in it until I acknowledged, okay, you're here and you're welcome into my space. After that was when I finally saw him for the first time.
Nice.
They've got rules. They've got stuff. They've got ways they have to do things. While it seems so chaotic because Christianity teaches demons are evil, they just want to make you sin and blah, 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 blah. Sin is subjective, okay? But anyway, no. That's not really what they're doing. They have quotas, they have parameters, they have business, they have stuff.
Yeah.
They got stuff to do. They've got stuff to do. So
I got stuff to do.
They got stuff to do.
Let's see. Slothy was asking, what is the actual symptoms of being possessed?
Yes, actually, you would probably know better than I. I only know based off of some reading that I've done, as well as the perpetuation through media of what the expectation is. But while you discuss that, I'm going to check on him again because I hear him bang around.
Honestly, over the years, I really have learned that one of the most common symptoms, or at least like the biggest like red flag, is, I know it seems like the most obvious too, but if there's like a personality changes, and this is where like the whole possession versus mental health thing really becomes muddy, because personality changes and erratic behaviors and being ill, I mean, that could have perfectly logical explanations. So that's why anytime I do get case requests from people who think they are possessed or believe that they are possessed, a lot of them want to jump right away to getting an exorcist or an exorcism. And what a lot of people don't realize is what we know as the exorcism is a Roman Catholic process. It's a Roman Catholic ritual that you cannot get unless, one, you're a member of the Roman Catholic Church, but two, the Roman Catholic Church will not touch you until you go through a series of medical tests. Now, there are people out there from the old Catholic Church, so the OCC, if you've seen Bishop James Long on TikTok, he's been on Ghost Adventures and a couple of TV shows. He's part of the Old Catholic Church. He is not Roman Catholic Church. So the Old Catholic Church has more liberties with their requirements for possession. I mean, really, the Old Catholic Church they don't really do well with monitoring their priests. I'm going to be honest. I've seen a lot of priests from the Old Catholic Church doing exorcisms on people who needed to see a psychiatrist. It's almost, and I don't want to offend anybody, but a lot of the priests that I've met through the Old Catholic Church, I mean, they really just got their certification online. And I feel like a lot of them are just cosplaying as priests. Now there are legit priests out there from the Old Catholic Church, but I feel like a lot of because if Bishop James Long was Roman Catholic, a Roman Catholic priest, he would not be saying 10% of the stuff he says on TikTok. That goes for anyone who is a self-proclaimed priest. And that's something I will unalive on this hill. When you've worked with a Roman Catholic priest, and I've worked with a Roman Catholic priest, on the side, it's a completely different ballgame. Completely different ballgame. It's nothing like what you see on TV. Completely different. It's like legal paperwork. We don't talk about this at all. You do not speak a word when they're in the room. It's a whole thing. And they really do not play when it comes to the process of getting an exorcism approved. I've been part of the beginning stages of getting that processed, but I was at 0.01A, when the end goal is 1 million Z 42,000. There's so it takes months. If not years. It's a completely different ball game. So I feel like with a lot of what the media is perpetuating, it's getting people unnecessarily paranoid. It's I haven't felt like myself. Oh crap, I might be possessed, or I'm being influenced by a demon. Because that's the other thing that the media has done. It's they've created so you have possession is the umbrella, but then or a tree, and then the media has created all of these really granular, tiny branches upon branches upon branches to even just, and I've been on TV, I can say this, that they do this to try to shoehorn the demon narrative, which drives me crazy. It drives me absolutely nuts, because a lot of the cases that I get called into, a lot of times these people think they have demons, or they think they're being possessed. Or my son started listening to Aerosmith, and he used to listen to Stephen Curtis Chapman and DC Talk, and now I feel like he's being influenced by the devil. And the devil and demons were really used and abused in the Southern Baptist world, that corner of my life. And I remember I was part of oh boy, can't believe I'm gonna disclose this. I was part of a Christian mime team, and we pantomimed to Christian music. And there was this one time where the wind blew and dirt got into one of our actors' eyes, and we were convinced that it was the devil trying to inhibit her vision so that she could not perform. Yes, I have pictures, Kat. I will send them to you after we're done here.
I don't be friends with you anymore. I have to reevaluate everything I've ever thought I've known about.
There's video too. My mom took so much video of this. Yes, I was part of a Christian mime group. Yeah, we pantomimed especially to Carmen, the courtroom, This Blood. Yeah. Let's see, who else did we did DC Talk, we did POD, yeah, Rachel Lampa.
Yeah, I've been Christian schooled, but never pantomime Christian music, Christian school.
Oh, I homeschooled my senior year so I could join this group, because it was a requirement to be homeschooled so you can perform basically anytime, anywhere. And I homeschooled my senior year through a Christian homeschool group, and you didn't date, you had to court. I courted a guy, and a lot of my friends who were in this, they got married at 19, and now they have 5 kids, and There were 6 kids. I
That's
think one of them
another
just had their
issue
6th kid.
entirely. Oh my God.
But it's
I
like,
can't
you
believe
wore dresses you wore dresses when you were out, and oh my gosh, it was such a hot mess. But man, I loved that drama group, and we were like the worst behaved kids ever. Like, oh my gosh. Like, you weren't allowed to kiss, you weren't allowed to sit next to the opposite gender, and whew, man.
So I wanted to say, like, before you came on, I said one of my goals in life is to have Mr. Bagel Bite send me a cease and desist letter for just, that's one of my goals. But there are 2 people that are really big in the paranormal that I know for a fact have blocked me and do not want to interact with me. I like literally on every platform they're on that I'm on, I am blocked by these people. Would you like to know who these 2 people are?
Tell me.
Huff Paranormal.
Of course.
And Bishop Joseph Long. I got tagged in his videos, and he was talking about demons, and somebody said, you should really talk to Catherine, because I'm sure she could really give you some insight on what this really is. And I commented on that tag, and it said, hey, thanks for tagging me. If somebody would like to have a productive discussion about why they are incorrect, I am more than happy to have that discussion with them, and I got blocked. So...
Congratulations. It's kind of funny because I've gone in pretty hard on both of those men. I don't think I've been blocked yet. Oh, wait, no, I've gotten blocked on Huff's Facebook page. I've gotten blocked on Huff's Facebook page.
Every time he posts a video about demons, I would get tagged in it. And they were like, you need to talk to her. You need to have a debate with her. And I was like, he's not going to. He won't, because he knows better. Because I would rake him over the coals. But regardless of that, the fact that, like, he shared a video of what is very clearly the eye shine of 2 animals in a dark room and saying, oh, sometimes demons. And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about?
This is the same guy who is perpetuating that, like, the window of a Ouija planchette, like, opened you up to the spirit world. And I'm like, this was literally made up for the Ouija movie. Like, it was literally made up. Like, Robert Murch will tell you that. And Robert Murch was the consultant for that movie. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I made a video about that too, completely tearing that apart. I'm surprised. Well, he may have blocked me. I haven't checked lately. But
I used to unfortunately all the time, and then they randomly stopped. So I was like, interesting. And I got tagged in almost every video he posted for like weeks straight. And then I went to go find him to like see what kind of BS he was up to that day. And it said, this user not found. And I was like, oh, I was so excited. The literal fear of me looming over him made him block me.
Apparently.
I talked mad smack about him on a couple of different live streams because I was like, if somebody's talking to celebrities, they're probably lying to you. And there is one specific guy, and I made it very clear. I was like, there is one specific creator. He has millions of followers, and he is lying to people. And if you need to have the wherewithal to look through the fact that he has decades and decades of audio that he can manipulate to make you think this.
Thank you.
I was blocked literally within 24 hours.
That's like, so interesting because I've said the exact same thing. I've written blogs about this guy. I've made YouTube videos about this guy. Well, no, I am blocked on his Facebook page. I haven't, you know what? I haven't tried TikTok. I'll have to look. Yeah, I've been going at Huff for years because I think he has also created this unrealistic expectation of what spirit contact and spirit communication really is too. And what I really don't like, and if anyone's watching this that does this, please stop. Don't order celebrities off of like a menu. Like, oh, can you talk to Olivia Newton-John? Can you talk to the Queen? Can you talk to Selena? Like, stop doing that. Like, if you're doing it, stop doing it. These are real people. Don't order them like they're a menu item. Like, please stop that. But Huff has created that precedent. And yeah, it's literally not like there's not decades of audio that he can work with and people still fall for it. I did issue a challenge to Huff. I basically said, hey, if you can contact my mom. Like, you don't have a recording of her voice, but I do. So if you did capture her, I can play a recording to verify. Contact my mom. You have full permission to talk to my mom. I don't know if she'll talk to you, but but if you can get something, I have a recording of her voice that can be used to verify. But
and I'm going to say this, and prepare yourself, because this specific instance of this happening might be triggering to some people. We could even say the same thing about what people were doing with Gabby Petito. You know
Thank
what?
you.
I coined a phrase for this, and I'm going to share it with all of you, and you are welcome to take it and use it all you want. The people that were using their spirit boxes and their paranormal equipment to try to contact Gabby Petito to have a conversation with her about who killed her, I call those people trauma predators.
Yep. It's exactly what it is.
They bank on traumatic events and they use something that was such a tragedy. There are tragedies on this planet every single day, but that one got a lot of media coverage. So they use that and then manipulate it into working in their favor for clout. You are a trauma predator. If anybody in this live stream has ever done anything like this, I immediately do not like you as a person. You should reevaluate your priorities and your life. You are a trauma predator. That's not fair to the families, to the people, to the ones that are actually genuinely emotionally concerned. And they're going to like pull into this and be like, oh my God, I really hope maybe this will give us some answers for them. Nobody should ever take those answers seriously. Ever.
Right.
Ever.
Well, it's like, and it also reminds me of the psychic mediums. Well, one of them is a very famous psychic medium on TikTok and came at me quite publicly. But when Ophelia's son was murdered, and there were psychic mediums coming out saying, oh yeah, her son, she reached out to me for a reading, or her son came through to me, but they weren't talking to Ophelia. And I'm like, y'all are gross. Like, y'all are so gross. And
yes, I saw that. And I was like, how dare you without consent? And not talking to the family? How dare you?
Yep, and one of them tried to say they had consent, but I had friends who I'm friends with Ophelia's main medium, and they were like, yeah, no, that person is not involved. And I mean, I almost lost my TikTok account because that person had all of her followers report my profile. Like, I almost lost my profile. Like, it was like this close. But it's just all for, but all for like false clout. And I guess, and it's frustrating because I see people fall for it and I see people get taken advantage of. I mean, because this same medium also requires that you upload a photo of yourself and, they gather information before you even do a reading that costs like $200, $300, $400, $500. And I'm like, Google Lens is a thing. Like, you can look, I mean, I miss the days of the Society for Psychical Research when they would use proxies instead of like the actual grieving families to get readings from psychic mediums when they were investigating them. So it would be like me sending like one of my team members in my place to go to a reading. And then if my mom comes through, then it's like, okay, well, maybe this is something. But I miss like the old school way that people would investigate mediums, or at least like vet them beforehand. Because of TikTok now, it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot to gain trust. And at least for these type of people, and it's really frustrating because with people like me and people like you, it's like we have to fight harder to get people to trust us and to at least take seriously what we have to say.
Even in consultations where you've paid the money, you've booked the time, and you have consented to what we are about to do when I went over what it is I'm going to do. Even in that moment, if we are in a consultation together and the person that you are trying to connect with does not want to be connected with, you are SOL. I am not ever going to force a spirit guide, or any beings in your vicinity to speak to you if they say they do not want to, they are not ready, or they are not available to do so. I'm not going to chokehold them to come in and be like, talk or else. That's not how I work. And I'm very candid about that with people. I've reached out to guys, I've reached out to loved ones and been like, hey, like, a good example, this person I want to reach out to, something happened, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, cool. So I reached out to that person and they were like, I would prefer to not. And I was like, okay. Is there anything you'd like to share as to why? And then I did, they gave me a little something to tell them. And I was like, okay, thank you. I'm going to leave you a note now. And then I was like, well, he will not be coming. He will not be coming in to talk to you. He does not visit you guys for a very specific reason. And there was a moment of just like sadness because like, well, why wouldn't he? That poor man was grieving. He was grieving himself. And he said, I would prefer to not wallow in that grief until I've worked through it. And I don't think you guys should either. So I will my distance. And I was like, there you go. So when, I'm like I'm real about it. If it's not going to work out, I'm going to be honest with you and I'm going to tell you why. If they give me that reasoning, I'm going to tell you why. There's so many reasons why a spirit wouldn't want to be reached out to. And yet, when you think about the debunkers and the skeptics and stuff, they're like, well, you should be able to reach out to anybody at any time if you're that good and you're a psychic. No, just as much as like, I could very well, like, we could all try to do these challenges that they put at us where I put this on something on a piece of paper and I put it in my cabinet. Nobody's going to figure out what it is. I realistically, I'm going to be honest, you know why? One of the biggest reasons why I don't engage with that kind of rhetoric is because I don't trust them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust their honesty just as much as they don't trust mine. And we can't come in a place of convergence together because neither of us are on a trusted footing with each other, to be honest.
Right.
They immediately think that I'm a hokum, like, just doing, oh yeah, I know how I could do this, whatever. They don't believe me and they think I'm a liar. That's fine. I don't trust that you'd be honest with me even if I was right.
Right.
So we are at an impasse.
Well, it's so interesting too, because, these days, because, I'm really deep in the book right now. So I've been doing a lot of research on like psychic mediums and how they would work at the time. And gosh, I could write a whole book about the evolution of mediumship, just going from like the Victorian era to now and seeing like how they work. And I don't know, it's really interesting. And for me, like, the whole instant gratification of, oh, I want to talk to my grandmother on my father's side. It's like, okay, here you go, like instantaneous. And I think people forget too that cold reading exists. I could inadvertently give off clues that could, like if you said, oh, there's a short half Asian woman with me. And I'm like, that's going to automatically tell somebody that, oh, I may have hit something here. So I think
that's why I don't say anything until I write everything down. That my first impression read of you, there's always, if you're in the chat and you got to read with me, you can confirm this. There is a moment before we start. I'll ask you, what do we want to cover today? And then I will take a moment to do my read, to get the trajectory, do my little pings, and then write down anything that comes through in that moment. And then after we process that part, then I will start to talk to you about it. And even today, like, I wrote somebody asked me, like, specifically, I want to know if what I'm seeing is a sign of this. Okay, I'm going to first take a second. I was like, before you say a word, do not say a word. I wrote down the first impression. I wrote down a couple of different variants because I wasn't really sure what was coming through at the time. So I gave myself a good window of things. All in the same vein, just different descriptors for it. And then I put in some more specific details after, and I was like, okay, I want to show you here. I have written this down here on this page. This is your visual that I wrote this down. Now tell me, what is the sign that you've seen? And it was butterfly. Great.
Nice.
That's what I wrote down, butterfly. Okay. And then after that, I had also wrote down a specific type of butterfly that I was feeling in the moment. So I wrote that down as well. And I said, okay, you watched me write it down. This is where it is right here. Do you see it? Yes. What does it say? Monarch. Yes. Do you confirm that it's a monarch? Yes, I confirm that it's a monarch. And that is how I both validate myself and the person at the same time.
I love that.
I'm very cognizant of it because as an investigator, I'm always trying to mitigate bias. So it validates and credits me and my ability as well as to the person and their feelings and abilities when we're working together in a space.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. Love it. It's very Victorian era of you too. Like, again, working on the book. So I just happen to have a couple books here that I'm working on for my research. And it reminds me of, your process reminds me of what Gladys Osborne Leonard did with her readings. She also did like long-term readings with people. Like this one I'm researching. So for those of you who are curious about the book, here's a preview of it. Um, I'm tuning up on a case of Dr. Florence Barrett. Her husband was married to William Barrett, who was one of the founders of the Society for Psychical Research. Medical doctor. She literally has wings, like hospital wings, named after her in Britain. After her husband died, she did readings with Gladys Osborne Leonard for 11 years, meeting every couple months, and the approach was very similar. So Dr. Florence Barrett's actually one of the people, so is Gladys Osborne Leonard, one of the people in my book. But yeah, I mean, world-renowned medical doctor, you know, sitting with a medium for 11 years to talk to her husband. Approach was very similar. So I'm really impressed that you do that. I'm like, oh, that's so Victorian of you. I love it.
I have a notebook, and it is the one book that I've ever been able to consistently write in and not miss a day when I'm doing consultations. And I have pages and pages, notes, drawings of the people that I'm seeing, or the energy map that I'm doing, or the trajectory of who's what, where, when, and why. Little notes here and there, messages. Usually you'll see like little corner notes where I'm muddling out. It's like, okay, this feels like this. Is this? What is the word? This word. Okay, but does it mean this or this? Details words. Okay, there we go. That's how I process my readings when I'm doing them with people. But also there are times where I sometimes will start with the most predominant feeling that I have and go there first. So sometimes it's your emotions. Like your emotions are just out there. And that's the first thing that we've got to address, because it's literally just kind of blocking out everything else that we're trying to do. So let's get into that first. And then, all right, let me tell you where your support system is around you right now. XXX. That's something that I've been doing since before I shut down everything when I was a teenager. I always took very detailed notes, because you never know when it's going to be it's going to match with what you're figuring out and what you're hearing and what the evidence tells you later.
Nice.
I'm good at my job. And I appreciate everybody in my chat giving me all the hype. I really appreciate it, because you know what? I remember when I first started doing readings and I was so nervous about it, because, you know, self-doubt is the thing. And it's just been consistently even getting better. I feel my abilities just getting more centered and stronger. And now I don't feel doubt anymore. I am confident in what I'm doing, and I am mindful of what I'm receiving. That is the biggest difference from when I was doing this when I was younger to now. So, and anybody can do it.
That's awesome.
Anybody can do it when you work on it. But I was hoping, so I should probably scoot soon, within the next couple minutes, because I gotta do the mommy stuff. But what are some? We went from one to like whoop off the rails.
We did.
We do that every time though. So
we do.
What would be? Give me a sec. I want to think of a good question to finish this out, so you can give your opinion on it. What advice would you give to the average consumer of media on how to how to understand all of the nuance in a more condensed, digestible way?
Ooh, that's a good question. Jeez.
I thought about it. That's why.
Oh my gosh. You know, I would say take everything with a grain of salt, and realize that the medium in which you're consuming that content, because it's going to be very different if I'm reading a demonic case out of, like, you know, the Victorian Ghost Hunters casebook versus watching a YouTube video or watching something on Discovery Plus. I think definitely look into the motivations of the creators. Like, are they trying to gain views? There's so many like things to pay attention to. Like, are they doing this to gain views? Are they doing this to get clicks? Are they doing it to get monetization or for money? They want you to keep looking. That's their goal. But if you look at like demonic cases or even just any paranormal cases and something different like SPR, the Rhine, something a bit more academic, or even like somebody like me, not saying to go to my stuff. There's a lot of really other fabulous people to go to, but I will create content, but it's not like demon or, doing anything for views or anything like that. So I would say definitely look at the medium in which that content is being presented. I think that's going to be like the ultimate decider, and the nuance to look at is the medium in which it's coming to you. Because it makes a difference. It matters. And unfortunately, with the way that media is today, a lot of people are creating content for the sake of content, and they're not diving deep. They're not exploring it more. They're not there's this urgency to put out content right away too, like immediately after an investigation. And I'm like, yo, y'all, you haven't even like done your data review yet. And you're telling me that this is, Lucifer coming through, and, it's like, okay. And it's distorting. It's distorting, I think, the field quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Not in a good way either.
No, I would definitely agree. I'm going to piggyback with critical thinking. You use, when you're looking at something, if it's too good to be true, it is.
Yes.
Like, poltergeist videos, I've yet to see one that's real. They're usually all easily fakeable, all of them. Demonic ones, is it tagged as a demon? Is there any proof that it's a demon? Is it giving demon in the video in any way, shape, and form other than demons on the top of that portion? More than likely it's not. It's always, when you're consuming things, you want to be mindful of what you're consuming. And when you watch it, it does encourage them. So, Please, feel free, watch. Understand the differences. Their bias in the situation, how they're presenting it, how they're reading the situation, matters to the end goal of what it is they're trying to accomplish. This is something else when it comes to mediums as well, because there are also mediums out there who are very, it's black or white, it's black or white, it's black or white. Reader bias matters, because that is going to give you a specific kind of reading based off how they're perceiving things, based off the bias that they carry within them. When it comes to, we got to get the views, we got to get that money, we got to get that bag, people are generally going to do anything that they can to get your attention, and no one is above lying. So if it says demon, probably not a demon, and just mind your P's and Q's about it, really. Like, just, there's so much out there, it's hard to escape. It's part of the nomenclature at this point. There's nothing we're going to be able to do to stop it, but you can always count on me and Alex to tell you, if you want to know whether or not it's a demon. Oh, I'm sorry, wait. Demons. No. I made a whole joke about demons not that long ago to Rebecca, and it was great, and I was just, yeah, I'm a demon. I live in space. I'm gonna get you one day, but I really need you to like stop eating French fries because I don't know. Like, it was a thing. Like, it was a whole joke that I did. It was ridiculous, but I appreciate everybody that takes the time to like join lives like this and really listen and put in their thoughts and their feelings, their experiences in there, because it really helps to bring more perspective to the situation of, this perpetuation is not just something funny to do to get that clout, to get that view. It's actually overall very harmful to people. It's stirring up fear. It's stirring up anxiety. It's probably affecting people's mental health, walking around thinking demons are just waiting around every street corner to attack you. And if you're ever in the mindset that you are concerned of whether or not there is something demonic hanging in your space, trust and believe, if you book with me, I will be very thoughtful and make sure to give you the right information. And I will, that would be an interesting read, honestly, if that were something that came through. I will say, one time in my career, I had someone approach me who I legitimately, after a lot of thought and a lot of questions and a lot of like work, and this was before this part, this was all investigative, I was pretty well sure that she had some kind of demonic follow. And I gave her resources. I helped her to reach out to people to get it done because we live on two different sides of the country. But that was really the only one. And that was even what she was telling me was all I had. So I had to go based off of what she was telling me. You know?
Yeah. That makes it tough. I'm that person where, if someone's telling me in person, like, hey, I think I have a demon and, they can come in and out at will. And I'm like, okay, great. Bring them out. Let's talk. Like, I'm that person. Like, okay, bring up the Beelzebubby and we'll chat.
Room said a medium told me they couldn't read me because I wasn't open. So in that moment, that might have been the case with that specific person. It might have been a little more difficult for them to tap into what they were trying to get to with you. However, there are lots of different mediums out there at lots of different levels with lots of different capabilities. I would definitely not let that deter you from trying again with somebody else. I would definitely encourage you to see sometimes matching with mediums that work on the level that you're at when you're working on yourself is kind of like finding the right therapist.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be able to get, you two are working in tandem to get the information at the same time. You know what I mean? So with that, I would love to tell you how amazing you are. And I've missed you so much. I'm very, 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 very happy that we get to have this very long conversation. I'm very excited for your book. I'm going to buy a copy and I'm going to put it in my, all the books that I have at this point are research books. And you're just going on the list. And I think for the next time that we do a live together, which we used to do this like weekly, so we got to do that again. I think we should talk about old school, when back in the spiritualist days, back in the 1900s with the seances. I think we should really talk about that because that was literally the stepping stone for what we do today.
I have been elbow deep into that since a lot of the women in my book are from that era. I go up to about 2019, but hopefully not 2022 with my mentor who will have, so basically the prereq for this book is you have to be dead. And unfortunately my mentor is towards the end of her journey. Which I was like, crap, that's a chapter I didn't want to write. But so far the latest is 2019, but, yeah, it's a big thing. Especially when you get into like SPR and the Ghost Club and, the way that sittings worked. And I'm wondering if there's any mediums watching this. Do any of you have like used controls? Because I'm reading a lot of the 19th century mediums who had controls that would speak for them and spirit communicate for them, mostly in trance mediums. But I'm like, anyone out there use controls? Like, I want to know, because this was very prominent in the 19th century, and it would be the controls speaking on behalf of that medium. And anyway, so
I think that's something that we could definitely explore. We could talk about the seances, Mumbler photographs, the Fox sisters, and all of the early days when
the Fox sisters.
Everybody, the Fox sisters, and we can talk about the true crimes that came out of those types of things as well. I think that would be a really fun conversation.
I totally found an SPR murder mystery too that I would love to talk about. It's not going to be in the book, but it was one of those like I'm reading, I'm like, what?
I think it would be cool to like harken back to our historical roots as investigators and talk about where it all really started and where the resurgence came from and like why everybody was doing it and stuff. And I think that would be really fun for our next one.
Oh my God, that would be so much fun. Oh my gosh. And it's so fresh in my head now.
I really enjoy talking about it because the differences of where we were and then what it was processed as and how it was understood and then where we are now are so far apart.
Yeah.
So with that, I would like to thank everybody for coming. I would love to thank you all for your time, joining, staying, giving me your thoughts and feelings. Yes, we can talk about ectoplasm and how it's crap. Yes, we can talk about that. I really appreciate all of you guys. I really appreciate you, Alex. Plug yourself one more time so everybody knows where to find you.
Yeah, y'all can find me at The Spooky Stuff on TikTok. I'm also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, the same handle. I'm taking a little bit of break from content creation right now to get the book done because I'm so close. So yeah, this was a treat, and this gave me a really nice break actually away from book writing. I needed to take a break, so this was awesome.
Really good at that. I'm going to actually be reposting this recording as a YouTube video. I'm going to do some edits on it. I don't know how I'm going to edit it to make it so it doesn't look like that I left a lot during it, but I left a lot during it. It is what it is. But you're going to find this video later on YouTube, and you are going to see the progression of madness through it as we went from a subject to talking about something completely different. And you can find that on my YouTube channel. I actually have a YouTube channel. It is the same name as my TikTok name, officially_Catherine. Right now on my page, I have 2 really amazing videos that I did about Old Jail in St.
They're
Augustine.
so good.
Oh, thank you. I still gotta
I
send
watched them like 3 times.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like, it was wild. I can't believe any of that actually happened. Like, it's still so funny to me how I walked in there. I was like, you thought. And right now, my next video that I'll be posting this week is the best EVPs that I have ever gotten. So if you want longer form content and you want to see some paranormal investigation and things like that, you can follow me on YouTube. You can follow me here on TikTok. I do a lot of videos about why ghosts are silly, because ghosts can be silly, and so can the people that look for them. So I love you so much, Alex. Thank you so much for this. I cannot wait for us to get together and go do weird stuff together in the same space again.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, because we're the coolest. Like, you, me, and Rebecca were like rolling that room. Like, we were doing it. We were doing the thing. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate you all so much. I'm so happy to be back into the live stream sector. I have missed it. It has been a good time getting back into it. And I will talk to all of you guys later. Bye, Alex. Bye, everybody.